You know those books, the ones that just look massive, like a real challenge, maybe even a bit daunting, over 1,000 pages, huge historical sweep.
Mm-hmm. Literary mountains.
Exactly. Well, today we're tackling maybe the biggest one of all, Leo Tolstoy's incredible War and Peace.
A giant for sure.
So, our goal here in this deep dive is to try and cut through all that, sheer size. We want to pull out the really key stuff.
Yeah, distill it down.
Right. Give you a clear, hopefully engaging feel for what makes this book so powerful. So, whether you're prepping for a book club, just curious, or maybe, just maybe, thinking about finally reading it.
Which you totally should.
Right.
All right.
This isn't just going to be a plot summary. It's more like a guide to why it still matters, why it sticks with you. And we're drawing this from a really insightful literary exploration that kind of breaks down its core ideas for us.
Okay.
Okay, let's unpack this. Where do we even start with something this big? Maybe with the author himself.
Yeah, good idea. You really can't talk about War and Peace without talking about Leo Tolstoy.
Yeah.
I mean, the man was just colossal. Not just a novelist, but like a major thinker, a moral force almost.
His life was pretty epic too, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And his own philosophical journey deeply informs the book. So War and Peace, it was published over a few years, 1865 to 1869 roughly. And it throws us right into the Napoleonic Wars, that whole chaotic period at the start of the 19th century.
Okay, so the history is front and center.
Oh, completely. But what's fascinating here, and this is key, is that the history isn't just like background scenery. It's the furnace, It's where Tolstoy tests his characters, his ideas about life, fate, everything.
Right, so it's not just a historical novel in the simple sense.
Not at all. He uses this specific, very real historical conflict to get at these much bigger, universal human questions.
Okay, that makes sense. It's the human story within the history. So let's talk about that human tapestry then, the characters, the story itself, without giving too much away, of course.
Right, spoiler-free.
What's the basic setup? We're following several aristocratic Russian families.
Yeah, primarily. Tolstoy just masterfully weaves together the lives of these main characters. You see their personal lives, their loves, their losses, their ambitions, all unfolding against this backdrop of, well, high society Russian life, but also the brutal realities of war.
So you get both sides of the ballroom and the battlefield.
Exactly. It's this incredible contrast. You journey through their personal struggles, society's changing, the impact of the conflict is just raw and unavoidable. And the characters, I mean, here's where it gets really interesting.
Who are the main players we should know?
Well, you've got Pierre Bezukhov. He's sort of awkward, illegitimate, inherits a fortune, and is constantly searching for meaning. He's very relatable in his confusion, I guess.
Okay, the seeker.
Then there's Natasha Rostova. She starts young, vibrant, impulsive.
Spirited, I've heard her described as.
Very spirited. And she goes through this incredible transformation. You see her grow up, make mistakes, find love. And Prince Andrei Bolkonsky, he's kind of the opposite of Pierre in some ways. Noble, intelligent, maybe a bit proud, disillusioned with the shallow society, and seeking glory in war.
Ah, the disillusioned idealist.
Something like that, yeah. And you have others like the Rostov family, particularly the Countess, who represents this sort of enduring family life. And even Napoleon himself appears as a character.
Wow, he brings in historical figures directly.
Oh, yeah. Tolstoy gives his own take on Napoleon, which is quite critical, actually. But all these characters feel incredibly real, incredibly human, even across, 2 centuries. Their lives intertwine in this really complex, rich way that just paints a picture of an entire world.
So it's through these very human stories that he explores the big ideas.
Precisely. And the themes he tackles are, well, they're profound. They're what give the book its weight, its lasting power. It's not just plot points. It's the core of the whole thing.
Like what, for example? What are the big ones?
Well, first off, the nature of war and peace itself seems obvious from the title, right?
Right.
But he goes deep. It's not just, fighting versus not fighting. He shows how peace is often this fragile thing, maybe even illusory, constantly shaped by war, past or future.
So they're not really separate states.
Exactly. They're deeply interconnected, even in people's personal lives. You see moments of quiet domesticity, but they're always under the shadow of the larger conflict. It forces the characters, and us really, to think about what life means when everything's so uncertain, so chaotic.
Wow, okay. So he's blurring the lines between the battlefield and the home front, in a way. What else? You mentioned fate.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
The tension between fate and free will.
Yeah.
How much are these characters, these individuals, just swept along by these massive historical tides,
Like cogs in a machine.
sort of, versus how much do their own choices actually matter? Can one person change anything when armies are marching? Tolstoy wrestles with that constantly through Pierre and Andrei especially.
That's a question we still ask today, isn't it?
Absolutely. And then there are the universals,
Mm-hmm.
love and loss. He portrays them so beautifully, so painfully sometimes, how falling in love changes you, how dealing with death shapes you. It drives so much of the character's actions.
And you see them change over the course of the book.
Oh, massively. Personal transformation is another key theme. These aren't static characters. They grow, they learn, they suffer, they adapt, or they fail to. You see the impact of experience, of hardship, of just living.
Which connects to time itself, I guess.
Exactly. The relentless passage of time, how it changes people, relationships, society, nothing stays the same. Tolstoy has this incredible sense of time's flow and its effect on everything. If we connect this to the bigger picture, I mean, these are the fundamental human concerns, aren't they?
Yeah. Love, loss, meaning, change. It's all in there. It really is staggering, the depth. As we talk about these layers, what stands out to you most about his approach? How does he make it all work?
That's a great question. Because it's not just the human drama, right? What makes War and Peace so, well, monumental is Tolstoy's incredible commitment to realism. Almost like a historian or a journalist at times.
You mean the historical detail?
Yes, the historical accuracy is stunning.
Mm-hmm.
His descriptions of the battles like Borodino, they're not romanticized. They're chaotic, brutal, visceral. You feel like you're there.
I've heard that about the battle scenes. Very detailed.
Incredibly. And he does the same for the politics of the era, the social customs, the feel of Russian aristocratic life. It's so vivid, but then, layered onto that realism, is this powerful philosophical core.
Okay, so it's not just reporting history.
No, far from it. He's constantly reflecting on history itself. Like, how does history actually happen? Is it driven by great men like Napoleon?
Which was the common idea then, right?
Very much so. And Tolstoy basically says, no, not really. He challenges that whole idea. He suggests history is made up of countless small individual actions, choices, experiences. Moral responsibility for him isn't just about the big leaders making decrees.
It's about ordinary people's lives.
It's in the everyday choices, the moral compass of individuals adding up in ways that are almost invisible but collectively shape everything. No single person, not even Napoleon, is truly in control of the tide.
Wow. That really turns the great man theory on its head.
Completely. And it raises this really important question, how much agency do we actually have within these huge historical forces? Are we just carried along? Or do our individual lives, our choices, actually steer the ship in some small way?
That's a deep question to embed in a novel. It makes you think about your own place in things. So, bringing it to today, how does this massive 19th century Russian epic still speak to us? I mean, the Napoleonic Wars feel pretty distant. So what does this all mean now?
Well, it resonates because the core questions, they just don't go away. They're timeless.
Like the search for meaning.
Exactly. War and Peace is still asking, what makes a life meaningful? How do you lead or just live during times of crisis? How do people find resilience when facing just overwhelming challenges?
Things we're still grappling with all the time.
All the time. The struggles of Pierre, Natasha, Andrei, searching for purpose, dealing with love and loss, in a world that feels like it's falling apart sometimes, growing and changing. These are fundamentally human things. They cross centuries.
So it helps us understand ourselves, maybe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It helps us understand ourselves and maybe our own times, not as totally unique or isolated, but it's part of this long, ongoing human story, this grand narrative.
And looking at their struggles and triumphs can maybe give us perspective on our own. It really encourages you to think about how those big themes play out in your own life, the war and peace dynamics we all face, big or small.
Mm-hmm.
So there we have it. Hopefully that gives you a solid handle on War and Peace, the context, the unforgettable people, the huge themes, and those deep philosophical questions that just stick with you. We've tried to boil down what makes this monster of a book so important, so enduring.
Definitely. And maybe it leaves you thinking, given Tolstoy's whole exploration of fate versus free will, within these giant historical events, what does control really mean for you in your own life?
That's a powerful thought.
How much influence do you think one person, one individual, can genuinely have on the way things are going, on that bigger tide of history?
A really profound question to chew on, and exactly the kind of thing Tolstoy makes you confront. We definitely encourage you to explore that, maybe by finally picking up the book,
Go on.
Or even just by noticing those war and peace moments, big and small, happening all around you every day.